Well, welcome everyone to our VAX Blockchain Meetup. Today we have Ross from EOSphere and
Hi, everyone.
Roman from CryptoLions. And
Hello.
It's very early here in the US. It's 8 a.m. It's early for me. And it's late for Ross. Is it 9 p.m. for you, right, Ross?
It's 9 o'clock here in Perth and 11 o'clock in Sydney.
Wow. And how about Roman? It's about 5 p.m. for you, right, Roman?
For me, it's just right, 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So thank you guys for suffering to make things easy for me.
Yeah.
So how are things in Kiev, Roman, with this pandemic? Is things getting better?
Yes, in fact, today or this week, businesses started opening up again. So I got to visit the gym, which I hadn't gotten to do in a month. So I'm feeling better.
How about in Perth, Ross?
So the
Things
gyms
are better?
haven't. Yeah, absolutely. Kids are going back to school. Gyms haven't opened yet, except they've got some gym classes. But you know, the shared equipment gym's not available as yet. But yeah, it's getting better every week. We haven't had any new cases for a while.
Yeah, here in US, it's getting slightly better, but we have other problems here, as some of you know. So there is riots and things like that. So we were about to get back to normal, but everybody is waiting a couple of more days to go back to normal. Yeah. There is no new normal, right? There's no normal.
That's when you were late to come on this evening. I was thinking all these things are going through my head. I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay.
No, it was just too early for me. But I'm glad all of you are here. Well, let's kick off our meetup. I'm very glad that you were able to make it today, Roman. It's a very timely meetup. We just had the successful launch of the GPK, and the Simple Markets has just exploded with lots of volume, lots of secondary trades, and everyone wants to know what's Simple Market, what's Simple Assets, how we can create an NFT, lots of questions, and I think you are the person to enlighten us. But before we get there, so let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Roman. How did you come into crypto space, and what's your background? You studied in Stanford, right?
I did. I Stanford computer science, and I made a very strange sort of life decision right at the height of the first internet bubble, which was March 2000. I finished my degree and I joined the Army. And I did Army stuff for 6 years, which is a really big chunk of time, completely unrelated to computer science. But then I sort of found my way back to technology. I first encountered Bitcoin when I was writing articles for a libertarian magazine. The Army made me quite the libertarian. And the editor of the magazine said, look, for your first article, we can pay you $20 or we can pay you Bitcoin. And I said, Bitcoin looks cool, but I don't have time to figure it out. Give me $20. For my second article, he said, look, I'm done with fiat. The Federal Reserve is corrupt. You have to take Bitcoin. And I was like, oh, crap, I need to download this thing and figure it out. And that's how I received my first 8 Bitcoin.
Wow. So how did you find EOS? Now, you've been with us from the very beginning, right? The CryptoLions is well known for the jungle testnet, right?
Yep. So Bogdan and I collaborated on a Bitcoin project all the way back in 2013. It didn't really take off, but we had like exposure to crypto, and we always just chatted about crypto stuff and paid attention to it. And then when EOS was getting ready to launch, it was just sort of a good time in both of our careers. Bogdan was head of IT. His company just got acquired by Ericsson, which had its own IT department. So he was looking for something to do. I left the company where I was working, and I said, let's try it. Let's go all in on EOS. And so we founded CryptoLions, and we've been here from the start, and it's been great. It is such a privilege to wake up every day and work on something that you genuinely enjoy. So I feel like I'm in the right place. It's stressful sometimes, but it's been a great ride. Very happy to be here.
So CryptoLions, obviously very well known for the jungle testnet, one of the most important testnets for the last 2.5 years. Huh? It's been up definitely for a while, and we are currently on version 2, 3.
2 and 3 are both running. We decided not to shut down 2 because so much is sitting on top of it, and it's sort of a community management problem that we're not sure how to address. We want to move to 3. Many teams, including you guys, support the jungle community, and it's expensive for you to support 2 jungle chains. So we want to all shut down and move everything to 3. It's a smaller chain. It's a cleaner chain. It's easier and faster to synchronize with jungle 3, but we don't want to be too disruptive.
And sometimes the jungle testnet is the most active and busy chain, depending on which time of the year when people are testing stuff. But they can get crazy, and when something's going to break, that's where it's going to break, and everybody relishes and revels in when things break because success, we found an issue and we broke it because of this. I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of masochism if you look at the Jungle Telegram channel.
I know that when we first started off, it was some small little VM instance, and now it's got its own bare metal server with its own public node. It's running like hardcore stuff. It's awesome.
and there's and just so the community knows, there's there's 20, maybe 30 teams just like EOSphere, just doing stuff to, running infrastructure for no compensation, except maybe a little bit of reputation.
We love it.
Excellent. Well, Roman, tell us about Simple Assets and Simple Markets and the GPK.
Oh, this is a perfect segue, actually, because the idea of Simple Assets was born in the Jungle testnet. I was talking to a friend of mine also in the EOS community, Brandon Espinosa, and he said, man, you've been doing this jungle thing for a long time. You should think about a way to monetize it. Maybe you could sell parts of the original jungle testnet as NFTs. And we thought that was a really cool idea, partly just because it's such a funny idea. And we're like, wow, let's look at doing that. Except there's no NFT standard, so maybe we should build one. So Bogdan, like the maniac that he is, I'm very much the junior partner in CryptoLions. You hear more from me because I'm the native English speaker, but Bogdan he's so talented. He's one of the most talented guys I've ever worked with. And almost always in a good mood too, which is rare.
And always helpful. He's always helpful. Whenever you've got a question, anything, he's there and he's giving you a hand. I love it.
Yeah, he's amazing. So he didn't sleep for a couple weeks, and then Simple Assets sort of appeared in the world. And right when it appeared, it couldn't have been worse timing. We launched Simple Assets, a prototype. I think Simple Market was also up at the same time, a very simple prototype of Simple Market. We put all that out there, and then Mythical Games announces that they're building an NFT standard called D-Goods, and we're like, oh, maybe they want just Simple Assets, maybe we'll give it to them. So they just had their announcement, right? And we had a call with Mythical Games. They're great guys. They worked on games that were a formative part of my sort of adolescence. They're guys that worked on Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and stuff like that. But so we talked to them with the idea that maybe they'll just pay us a little bit and we'll just give it to them. But they were down their vision. They were already pursuing their vision, and we thought we were doing it the right way. And we kind of had a talk, should we just stop? Because they're this huge company. And we're like, well, we kind of like how we're doing it philosophically. It's already working for us. We have a working product. And we just kept developing. We kept developing for about a year. We sort of had a little validation when developers here and there would come to us and said they like how we're doing it. We had more validation when prospectors used Simple Assets to sell coupons for their pre-sale. They actually raised pretty good money to finance prospectors by selling Simple Asset coupons ahead of their launch. And then we had big validation when Wax made it their sort of first and default standard for NFTs, and it took off from there. It was about it's been thousands of hours of work. We hope that Simple Assets or the Simple Marketplace pays for it. I think it seems likely that Simple Market will be one of several marketplaces. I know there are others being built right now, and there are already others working. So I think that'll be, aside from just the satisfaction of people using this thing that we built, and which is a big thrill. Like, we hope that we'll have a little business part of the NFT marketplace.
I know I've never been really into collecting cards, and after we caught up just a few weeks back, you actually got me to buy a whole lot of cards. Well, you didn't get me. You showed me where to go, and I went and I chose some cards just based on, oh, they look cool, not really looking into the market and what they would potentially be worth. And I see the one I've got is like a little witch, and it's like a hologram witch. And I bought that one for like 200 wax, and I can see people selling it for like 2,000 wax.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, again, it's like there couldn't have been a better non-blockchain company to come and give this a try. So huge credit to Topps, but they couldn't be better because they're not a blockchain company. So them adopting this is a big signal to a whole bunch of other people who are probably just now starting to build. And it's like the perfect collectible thing, because I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. And I remember buying those Garbage Pail Kids and eating the chewing gum and keeping them in my back pocket in school and comparing them with my friends. It was it hit the perfect sort of nostalgia note. And a lot of us who used to collect Garbage Pail Kids are now techies, and we're successful, and we'll drop a few wax for that little bit of nostalgia.
Well, Roman, I have a very basic question. Now, these images that we see displayed on blocks, for example, now where are they stored? So they're stored on an image CDN, or is it stored in IPFS?
That's a really good question. And Simple Assets really imposes very little structure. You could do it however you want. So I know that some NFT authors, I believe viral products, their images are stored on IPFS. I think the GPK cards, they have their images stored on a server. You could, if you wanted to, also store your image just as binary data or encoded data in the actual NFT. That's possible, although that would, put a strain on RAM. And what we're going to do in the future is hopefully give Prometheus, another project of ours, a little bit of traction, where files are encoded in EOSIO transactions, and then you could download it just from a URL. So a fourth option, aside from storing it in IPFS, storing it on a server, storing it in the NFT, will be to store the image in blockchain transactions. And part of our challenge is just in the what?
In the memo.
In the memo, yeah. A little bit controversial because it makes the chain grow, but I think that's a governance challenge. If the technology allows the chain to grow at a certain rate, if we need to cap that, the community of block producers can get together and do it. It's a tough sell to say, don't do this thing which the technology allows you to do. It's if it's a problem, then we should change the technology so that it caps the amount of net or caps the memo or something like that.
So what are the latest statistics about Simple Markets, Roman? Can you give us some idea about how much trading is taking place and what's the volume?
I could. It's cooled off quite a bit. We've actually had our butts handed to us by GPK Market. I'm looking at the volume now. So our best day, which was just a single day, we had a little over 200,000 wax traded. But for the past several days, it's been under 10. Yeah. Oh, in fact, yesterday it was 10,400. And it's been kind of steady in the 10,000 range. GPK Market, they did a great job. They have good filters and stuff. And they're just focused on GPK cards. So they really spoke to the culture of GPK cards and to collectors. whereas we had the challenge of building a general purpose marketplace. So we had to deal with multiple authors. We've had to deal with 2 instances of people selling fake GPK cards, registering as an author, creating your own NFT, and then selling those.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I can imagine. Yeah.
We're changing our database structure now to make it more searchable. And after we do that, which should be this week, then we're going to have all the filters you can imagine, all the filters and searching and stuff like that. So we're getting there. It just took us a little longer than we thought. With the counterfeit NFTs, maybe this would be interesting to the crowd. And there are 28 people here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. So with the fake NFTs, like the big risk to us is that somebody buys their own fake NFT and then comes to us demanding a refund. So we're like, we didn't know what to do because we couldn't verify that the people who came complaining to us that they bought a counterfeit NFT, if that wasn't their own. But we decided to refund them anyway. So we made them whole 100% of their purchase. We send it to a couple different users who approached us. And then we put in like other control measures, just like big warnings, like please check the author before you buy. And we put blue sort of badges near verified authors and stuff like that.
Are you going to take us on a little tour of the Simple Market site?
Sure, I
think
do that.
That'll be quite good, because I think some people aren't quite sure what we're talking about as far as the Simple Market, and maybe we can just visualize it. It'll be cool. And I see the little blue ticks. It looks like a little Twitter tick thing.
We did, Michael was extremely responsible as a host, and thank you, Michael, for putting this together. He made me test screen sharing a few days ago, which was great. But now when I click screen share, it says that I need to install a plugin. So I think there was just some upgrade in between your very responsible test and the live show.
Oh,
maybe you can.
I can show you. I can share my screen.
That would be great.
So let me. So Simple Markets. Simple Markets.
And I just want to emphasize that there are 2 different things here. Simple Assets is a free and open source standard. We put a lot of time into it, and that's for everybody to use. A lot of people are using it. A lot of games are developing with it. So that's the standard for NFTs on EOSIO blockchain, and it's deployed to most EOSIO chains. Now, we do hope to, pay the bills, maybe take the family on a vacation. So aside from building the free and open source standard, we also built a marketplace, and that's what we're looking at here. And it is one of several marketplaces that is competing for traffic on EOSIO, mostly on Wax. That's where the action is. The Wax team did a great job soliciting some big brands, and I think Topps is just the first of several.
So you do have filters, right, Roman? It looks like you have lots of filters there.
Yeah, you can filter by author, and I think you can sort it by price. Yeah, there's a little drop down a little to the right above the top row of Garbage Pail Kids. But what a lot of collectors wanted is a way to find the cards that are missing from their collection, or to quickly see the cards that are in their possession but they are duplicates, so they can quickly see which ones they can sell without disturbing their collection, and all kinds of functionality like that that's really specific. And of course, we're kicking ourselves for not building this months ago, but whatever, that's how it goes. GPK Market did a great job. So they have all that functionality, and they got most of the traffic. We did not get most of the traffic, but we're building a sort of broader solution. We have to accommodate any authors. And like I said, we're changing our database structure fundamentally. And then after we do that, which will be this week, we're going to have all kinds of filtering. Well, another place where we need a lot of attention.
This is almost 800,000 wax. What is it in dollar terms? I had to calculate this. This is
what? Is that a good one?
800,000.
800,000, almost.
That seems expensive to me.
Wow, that's like
$32,000, a little more.
Wow.
It's insane.
I should have bought like a lot of these things.
Are you sure there isn't a dot in there? Are you sure that's 32?
No,
That's
not so many
800,000?
It's
Can you make it bigger?
799,999.
Can you make it bigger, Mark? Because we can't. We just seen the small box.
Let's see. Oh, are you able to see these things or not? No?
I can see it, but it's just a small little square. I know you've managed to blow it up before.
Let me see. Let me see where we are. Oh, that's right. So it's in one square, right?
Hello,
So-
Rich. I see your question. Let's answer that in a moment.
Is it better?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
So this is the first one. TV is TV.
Is that not just someone taking a chance, right? Because you can put it up there for any price you want.
Yeah, that's someone taking a chance, as are a lot of those.
Well, so this is Simple Markets. And yeah, let's take some questions. I think there were like so many questions.
Sure, I can start with Rich's question, which is the one immediately visible to me. Morning all, I'm curious to know what you guys think are the most exciting use cases for NFTs. I'm new to the landscape and in complete awe of the technology. Oh, and he dropped his user account. I think maybe he's hoping to get a free Garbage Pail Kids card. We all
Yeah.
should have bought more of the first drop. Yes, we certainly should have.
Damn right. Damn right. Yeah.
I think the most exciting use cases are all, it's going to be games probably that lead the charge into NFTs. And I think the most exciting use case is just sort of changing the dynamics between games and players. For example, imagine a whole bunch of games sharing the same pool of NFTs. So yeah, like a bunch of indie game developers can say, okay, you get a third of the swords, a third of the horses, a third of the shields, and we'll distribute all the NFTs to these different games. And then the players can go to one game to get, some NFTs, then take them to the other game and create that kind of interaction.
So the questions are down, Roman. If you scroll down, there's a thing called questions. So there are about 5 questions. Let's take the first one.
Oh, I
Could
see.
you
I was
talk
looking
about-
in the chat.
Yeah, could you talk about the differences, advantages, disadvantages between simple assets and some other standards like atomic assets, and which one GPK is using? So GPK is using simple assets. So I think that's a good question. The differences between D-goods, simple assets, and atomic assets.
Yep, there's also Quill Hash. I don't know if that project is still active, but those are and there was one more whose name I forget. But I think the 3 most prominent are simple assets, D-goods, and atomic assets. Well, hats off to all the people building stuff. It's great to have people building. I think D-goods takes a very different philosophy where a game deploys the D-goods contract, whereas simple assets is like the EOSIO token contract is just one contract, and then players and games call this contract to manage their assets. That's the same way that the EOSIO tokens work. There may be deploying it yourself may risk like the author updating the contract and then sabotaging ownership in some way. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. There are smart guys there, but that was my concern without looking too deeply on whether or not they address the concern. If you deploy the contract yourself, is there a guarantee that users have real ownership? Atomic Assets came out a few months ago. I don't think they're live yet, and they said they have a bunch of RAM optimizations. I don't get it. I think all the stuff either already worked on Simple Assets or is about to work, but maybe I'm wrong. So everyone should try it themselves and let me know. Regarding RAM, the Wax team modified the Simple Assets contract so that they're paying for all transfers of GPK cards. Normally, the user pays for RAM of transfers, so the Wax team modified it Simple Assets so that they pay, so that the user does not pay. And we're going to make a generalized solution so any author of NFTs can enable something like that.
And the quill hash was more about fractional ownership, if I remember. So that was
Yes,
developed
yes.
for this Zeptagram, which is like a music app where creators can sell their IP. And if the IP is worth $100,000, maybe 10,000 people can own a fraction of this IP and get royalty payments. That was the idea for developing that, if I remember correctly. So that was fractional ownership. And I think I asked in your channel whether it can be done on Simple Assets, and you told me it could be, right? It could be done.
Well, here was my thinking, and again, I could be wrong. So this is just a cursory look at what they're doing. It's very cool, and I applaud everyone who's building stuff. But it seems like EOSIO has already gives you very granular control of ownership of an EOS account. So why does the granular ownership need to be built into the asset? Can't you just put the asset on the account and then handle all the distribution in terms of turning the account into a huge multi-sig or a DAC or something like that? So that was my initial take, and I have not looked into it more deeply than that. Perhaps I'm missing something.
Let's see the next one. Will there be a Series 2 GPK cards? I thought there was some rumors about this. Do you know anything, Roman? Inside information?
No inside information. In fact, we've never had any direct communication with Tops. We've had some indirect communication where, for example, the Wax team said, man, it would be great if you could get fiat payments up on your site, which we did. But no direct communication with Tops. And I heard the same rumors that you have. There will be a Series 2. This has to be just the start because it was such a huge success. So I think the future is bright.
I'd be surprised if there are nothing else, because this was sold out in 28 hours, right? So there is huge demand. That means they should come out, and there may be others coming out too, right? Just looking at the success of this one, there may be others jumping onto this bandwagon. I remember the ICO days, right? How the ICO craze started in 2017. Maybe one or two, the initial ones, I forget which one, they were the Digix, I think. That was the first or the second ICO, which sold out in few minutes. And then the craze started. People just wanted to get in, and it expanded so much. And that brought the Ethereum ecosystem to the next level. Because until that time, Ethereum was still in the few digits. I was one of the early investors in Ethereum. I bought Ethereum when it was 80 cents, if you can believe it. and I went all the way up to the 1,000. At the peak, it reached $1,400, something like that, right? At the peak, the end of beginning of 2018. That's when the whole market crashed. But this I see the same excitement, and I'm not the only one. If you observe, Rob from Cypherglass. He has very good intuition. He was doing the ICO alert back then, came to EOS. Now he just recently, last year, he announced he was quitting EOS, but now he's back, and he's a new enterprise, NFTalerts.com. So I see where people are getting into now. So this may be the beginning of a boom in which will propel the EOS ecosystem to the next level. I'm very optimistic. So let's see what's the next one. Will there be a next set of GPK? Yes, I think we answered that. So what's Simple Market team is doing to attract more members? Why Simple Market does not have a social media presence? Well, they do have a Telegram. What are the goals for this year? Will Supermarket partner with artists to sell or trade digital art? Is it a new project coming up? Oh, lots of questions here. Let's see what we can pick from here. So what's the goal for this year? I think that would be something that Roman can answer.
Thank you, Pedro. We're still a small team without external funding. I wouldn't mind changing that if anyone has some extra money lying in the under the couch cushions. But so we just have to prioritize, and we heard loud and clear from the community that we're a little messed up for not having better filtering of assets. To fix that, we need to change the database. And we did bring on 1.5 new front-end developers, which is where we were weak. We were great on the smart contract side and on the back-end side, and we just brought in new front-end developers. for us, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit because technology is what we're best at. Community presence, I agree with you. We should strengthen that and have promotions, and we'll look to do that as well. So the goal, like right now, all the targets, if you allow me to use sort of a military metaphor, it's all the 50-meter targets. We're not thinking long-term yet because there are like things that are important things that are really missing, like the filtering. Oh, we have a nice affiliate program coming up that should be really cool. So we wanna share volume. So part of it is that, and like hopefully the affiliate program will bring on other people who are frankly better at marketing than we are, and then we'll just share.
So Roman, this GPK market, are they using the same Simple Market contract, or did they build something on their own?
Oh no, they built something on their own. Yeah, and they did a great job.
Yeah, for some reason I thought the price was lower because I bought something from their website, a few cards. Compared to Simple Markets, their pricing was lower. What I think maybe they might have purchased large amounts initially, because if they're planning to open the marketplace, then maybe they bought a large number of mega cards themselves, and then they can sell them at a lesser price than at Simple Market, right?
Oh, very good. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a little bit of market making. Oh, one more thing to Pedro's question. We've also heard loud and clear from some of our sort of super users, super high volume sellers. And we have a whole bunch of features that we want to deploy fairly soon to make things easier for our sort of super sellers to just manage huge collections of thousands of NFTs. So it's the technology problems. That's what we're best at. Better community management will come. We hope to mitigate that with affiliates, though.
So we have a question from Bobo Block. So let's see. What, if anything, being done to decrease the friction and better onboard new and existing users when going from fiat to VAX? It's a 4-step process right now, even if you're crypto savvy. Will it be possible to fund our VAX wallets via vax.blocks or via CC, a credit card, or some app? So I think his question is, how do we decrease the friction of converting fiat to VAX to buy these things? But I think the one way to address would be to have the fiat payments, which I think you have, right, Roman?
Yeah, we do have fiat payments. They're a bit rough. There's a fee on top, and like there's a minimum purchase of $20. So if you purchase a $2 NFT, it's not that you pay $20 for it. You just get $18 worth of wax. So we mitigated it a little bit with fiat payments. We're also launching fiat pricing if we haven't launched already. So you could price your NFTs in dollars, and then the wax price will fluctuate from minute to minute or second to second. But what Bo Blow Law says is a big point, and it's felt industry wide. I listened to an interview with CZ of Binance, who I think is one of the most exciting entrepreneurs of our time. And he said, like, the place to make money in crypto is not exchanges. There are too many exchanges already. It is on ramps, fiat to crypto on ramps. He also said that NFTs were pretty good. So I think solving the problem of fiat to crypto, that's just too much for us. And aside from addressing it with fiat payments, I think we'll just hope that other entrepreneurs solve that problem.
Yes, let's see what else we have. What is Simple Market? Okay. Can NFT be used to take across different... Oh, can you transfer these NFTs across different games? I'm not sure.
It's up to the games. It's up to the games. So this is what I think one of the most exciting, like, new dynamics that NFTs may introduce, and it is games sharing NFTs. But the games need to be built that way. So it's not up to me. It's up to the game developers. Though I do hope to get in front of game developers more and more, and just let them know what's possible.
We have another long question here. in the future, our wax developers will be able to build digital marketplace. I mean, not only NFTs, but website designers selling their project, selling gift cards, game keys, virtual items. Wax will allow you to buy, sell, trade virtual items to anyone, anywhere in the world. So can Wax developers build digital marketplace selling anything?
Yes, of course. Yeah, they're already doing that. So yeah, there's a trust problem there. And like, for example, if you want to cross the divide between a digital NFT and a physical object, you need to cross that divide. And we're building two things. We're building two things that I want to tell you about that might address that problem of sort of crossing the divide. The first one is a coupon system, and it's really simple, but it can have big implications. And if you want to read more about it, check out our article, our roadmap. In fact, I'll drop a link in the chat now. So the first thing is a sort of coupon redemption bank. So let's say I have a big inventory. Maybe I'm a gamer and I have all the objects in the game that I collected over my years of playing. Or let's say this is in the physical world. I just have a bunch of stuff, and you can create NFTs for representing all of this stuff. And then the owner, the person who purchases these NFTs can send them to what we call the redemption bank. And the redemption bank will just verify that this is indeed a coupon that has been registered there. And it'll just make a record of who burned it. So imagine all of these players getting coupons for the inventory that you have in your game. They burn these coupons, and then you get a list and say, aha, user number 1, he burned the coupon for this rifle. User number 2 burned the coupon for this armor or whatever. And then in your game, you can just give out these items to those users. So we think the redemption bank, with a little sort of creativity, is a way for people to go anywhere. You don't have to wait for the game to be on blockchain. Players can just start tokenizing their stuff, provided that the game allows items to be transferred between players. There's still a trust problem there. Like, there's no guarantee that, if you burn someone's coupon, you have to trust them to then give you the item. And we hope to solve that with something that, man, I've been talking about since 2017 or 2018, which is truth bonds. Wouldn't it be awesome if the people issuing these coupons just froze a bunch of wax saying, like, this wax represents my guarantee that I will honor these coupon redemptions. And then you have to appoint a judge, because it needs to be a human who interprets these promise. But then if the judge is honest, the judge can sort of guarantee and can compensate people who've been wronged using this truth bond.
I know Malcolm's got a view on this, because when he did the Australian Wax Meetup, we were speaking about redeeming sneakers that were in a warehouse.
Yes.
And he didn't seem to see it as a big deal. He seemed to believe that, there was insurance, etc., that could take care of that. And, knowing that your physical shoe was actually there is not really an issue at all. I wish I could remember his exact angle, right? But it sounded like compelling that he didn't see it as a problem.
I'm just guessing, but perhaps he was speaking only to the viral marketplace and nothing else. Because Viral's a brand, a company, a known entity. They have a public presence. So Viral, they would not want to violate their customers' trust. But if you just allow, but if you allow just anybody to start doing this, you will definitely have some scammers.
I hear it.
That's right. I think he was talking about the centralized, like one entity, taking responsibility for maintaining that good, I think it was for sneakers, right? If I remember, it was sneakers. So they have the sneakers, in a well-preserved way where they can guarantee that it's there, it's insured, and then you just sell the asset without actually taking delivery of that sneaker.
And that's it.
It's almost like selling this gold, like in Digix, what Digix was doing, right? You hold the gold in a vault wherever, in Swiss bank or somewhere, and you don't necessarily need to take delivery of this gold, but you just trade the tokens on top of it. That was the idea.
Rich,
So I've got a.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I've got a question, just a quick one, or might not be quick. So the whole concept of an NFT standard, right? In my understanding of it is that makes a framework that everybody can use. That going forward we'll be able to exchange assets within different dApps or games or programs. What's the benefit to having a specific standard, or is that a no-brainer? And then what's the benefit to having multiple standards? Where are the pros and the cons?
Sure.
Because there seem to be a few growing now. Obviously, you've got first to market, or first mover. Is it a positive thing at the other NFT standards?
Well, a little competition is always good. And maybe they'll address different niches. That's certainly possible. From what I understand, D-Goods put a lot of thought into like authenticity, like verifying that your Gucci bag is a real Gucci bag. Although I didn't look that deeply into it. I don't know how they're doing that. I just read that in their descriptions. So maybe there's that. And why an NFT standard? It's just the common language so that you can see your NFTs in a wallet that somebody builds. You could see your NFTs on Blocks.io, just the common language for the community. I see a question from Rich, and I realized that we didn't answer all of Pedro's questions. I can do both of those.
Sure.
So Rich asks, what about an escrow account like they do on crypto locally? I think those escrows are very simple. Those are escrows for just transfers of tokens. And it's less likely that those need to be interpreted by a judge. Or if the interpretation is pretty simple, like I think on crypto locally, you could just show like a proof of your credit card payment or something like that. And then they'll release the escrow. Whereas confirming a transfer like of anything, of any physical object or any item in any game, that's a lot harder. So I do think these truth bonds will eventually happen. And I do think people will be sort of entrepreneurs. The people who become judges, that's a hard job. And I think it'd be perfectly reasonable for judges to say, like, if you secure your bond with me, I'm taking 10% forever. I think that's going to be sort of a new freelance thing, is people being judges of these truth bonds. The other question came from Pedro. I think we didn't address it, and it's for digital art. I actually talked to a guy in the digital art space, and man, it's a complicated space. There are 3 big successful digital marketplaces, or at least prominent. I don't know how successful they are, but they are Maker's Place in San Francisco, True Origin in London, and there's one in New York, Super Rare in New York. And from what I understand, the investors behind of these Ethereum marketplaces are also the main buyers. And they have real traffic. I think they have traffic of about 30,000 a month. I don't know if there's any market making involved in that, but they all report like 20 to 30,000 in traffic a month. It's hard. I think the world is still figuring out what digital art means, because like you could just reproduce the image at no cost anyone can very easily. So how much does it mean that you own the thing? I think an art marketplace may have to be a separate product, because it needs like its own styling. Maybe you need to think about the different communities. You need to think about the artists, the dealers, and the collectors, and maybe they all have their own needs. And I think some entrepreneur is going to build it and do a great job. One thing I don't like about the Ethereum marketplaces is that the art lives on IPFS, which means that it can disappear. So I would love to get Prometheus going and to store the artwork on the blockchain. Everyone knows that's where the artwork wants to be. It wants to be on the blockchain, and then the ownership, just like, it feels more meaningful because it won't go away, or it won't go away unless the chain goes away.
Okay, so let's see what else. How could you tell us about Wax storing things between other blockchains? I don't understand this question here from.
Tell us how Wax takes strong thing between other blockchain. Maybe it's like how Wax has taken some of the lessons learned from other blockchains. Maybe that's what they mean.
Well, I think there is a lot of lessons to be learned from Ethereum, right? But I'm very optimistic about Wax. The way they are managing this, the whole blockchain enterprise is very, very, very promising for the future. Let's see what I think the next few months will be the deciding factor. Like what comes next. The second release from GPK, maybe some other new thing that comes up on the NFTs. Somehow,
I like.
Go ahead.
I like their cloud wallet and free accounts. I think that's a great onboarding experience. Free accounts, and you just show users like username, password, plus two-factor authentication. Great onboarding experience, which was a problem on other EOSIO chains. And I like how they're running their inspector general stuff to rate block producers. I mean, I don't like it. It puts pressure on us. like, oh man, the next month is already here. I have to submit a report what CryptoLions did this last month. But like, it's it's good to have that pressure. It makes us do things. It makes us think about Wax. It makes us think about how to contribute. So I like that approach.
Yes, so there is this long comment here. Let's see. Simple Rare is assets. They are doing async cart. Can you sell the layers to individuals? That's like very long statement rather than I'm really trying personally. Yes, so I think we are all.
They're just talking. He's just chatting.
It's an NFT. Rich is talking about NFT artwork where the art is in multiple layers and different people own the different layers.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
You could do that with Simple Assets. It would take some work, and you would probably need to build your own Explorer. So you would need to build your own Explorer for these special types of artworks that takes part of the image from different NFTs.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost near the end, so let's wrap this up, Roman. Anything we didn't cover? Anything that's on your mind that you want to share with the community?
Gosh, I don't know. I've kind of just been buried in tech. We have I'm trying to make the tasks on our Trello board for Simple Market disappear faster than they appear. And I think I've got it to a balance. So our task list has been growing and growing, and now it's like steady. It's growing at the same rate that we're moving. So is the Trello public? No, Rich, it's not public.
Well, Roman, so here is what everybody's waiting for. Now, you're the host. You're our guest. So you should select two people to get the two GPK cards that we'll give away. So select anyone from all the questions that you have, and we will just post it in the chat. And then I will send those cards to the people that you select.
Okay, I think one fair way to approach this would be to give this to the people who generated the most discussion, and it's probably between Chris, Pedro, and Rich. But I think your rule, which you specified, was to go to the questions in the questions section. So whereas Rich's questions were in the public chat, I think that we will.
My word.
We will eliminate him. Maybe that's my autism speaking, and interpret the challenge literally. And the winners are Chris and Pedro.
Okay. Can you post this on the chat, Roman? The names.
All right. Well, Pedro wrote his account. So let's see. Pedro account. Congratulations, Pedro.
So while he's doing that, let me give you a fun fact. So this is a bit of an insight into my mind. You would have, and people on the call would have heard of the Mandela Effect, right? It's where you can kind of go through your life expecting something to be spelled one way, a color to be one way. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and it's not the Berenstain Bears, it's the Beringston Bears, or whatever it is. Garbage Pail Kids. I only found out last week that it was Garbage Pail Kids, P-A-R-L. I always thought it was Garbage Pail Kids, right? My whole life. So it probably means that I'm from a different dimension, quite possible, because it's one way of interpreting the Mandela Effect. Or maybe there's someone else on the call that thinks the same thing as me.
Well, thank you for everyone. Thank you for everyone who attended the meetup, and congratulations to the winners. Thank you, Roman. Thank you, Ross.
Thanks, Roman. Thanks, Michael. Always great to chat, and great seeing you again, Roman.
Likewise.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.